Hey guys, welcome back to the Casual Word and Casual Word Radio, where we continue our endeavor to change the world one word at a time. I'm your host, Langley. I'm very excited to be launching a new series. This is the Local Legend series, The Musician's Journey. And what I wanted to do was highlight the musicians from my hometown in Bristol, Virginia, and Tennessee, as well as musicians that I'm meeting here in St. Thomas and musicians that I've spoken with in other places like Roanoke, Knoxville, and the like. There's such an immense amount of talent in the Bristol area. And I think that it gets really overlooked and that so many people are discounting the amount of musical ability and talent that does exist here in this Tri-City area. And it wouldn't be the first episode of Musicians' Journeys if I didn't have my brother, my friend, and one of the most talented musicians that I have had the pleasure of knowing and playing with in my entire life, Mr. Ricky Martin, my man. It is good to see you, man. I thank you so much for being here, man.
No problem at all, man.
We talked about this and you guys hear me say it a lot, but you know, we always want to follow the spirit and we always want to move when we know we should move. And as we've been talking, he and I offline, you know, we've been playing music for 10, 12 years now together. You know, we start just working together just at the house, just having jam sessions. And we started doing different arrangements of hymns and great praise songs, start playing together in church. And it's just, man, I have him to thank just as much as I have DJ for my progress as a musician, as an actual player of an instrument. You know, I grew up classically trained in choir, could read music, but really couldn't play anything except the trumpet from my days in band. But, you know, working with Ricky and BJ and some other guys really helped elevate my musical ability as a musician. So thank you for that, man.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, man. It's always good to have somebody else around to create with and add a new element to what you're doing. Because a lot of times I get dried out on what I do. I get burnt out on hearing myself, and you know, it's always great to add an extra element to that.
Most definitely, man. And we've had some pretty epic jam sessions. For sure.
Yeah. Definitely.
Some epic
something like the mashup kings.
Yeah, though, most definitely. You guys don't even know. That's kind of an inside thing. Only those who have been witness to the mashups understand what that is. And it is such a blast. It's a blessing. And it's definitely a tremendous time musically to be able to sit and just play and put songs together and push each other musically. And it's one thing I talk to people about is the combined wealth of song knowledge that we have is pretty outstanding.
Anywhere from 90s R&B to anything.
Yeah, it's man, it's always a pleasure, man. And so with that being said, you know, let's talk a little bit about your journey as a musician, even in life, because you know, you and I didn't really start playing until we kind of crossed paths in Abingdon. But I mean, you've been playing for a very long time.
Yeah, we were adults when we started playing together. We were both on in our adult years. Me myself personally, I remember the first thing I remember about music is watching my grandma play piano and then trying to mimic what she did. And I guess my parents see me gravitate toward the piano. So when I was 5 years old, they put me in lessons with a lady from Bristol, Tennessee called Patricia Talbert. Her husband taught at Tennessee High for a long time. I'm not sure he's retired now, but he's been there for a long time. And she taught me how to read music. She taught me how all the basics of piano, and everything was classical growing up for me. Beethoven, Mozart, Chopin, Rachmaninoff, anything. But I remember I, I loved playing piano as a child. I thought it was cool that I was learning to do something that other kids weren't doing.
Mm.
Um, but at the same time, I remember years into my lessons, which I took lessons until all the way up until I was 16. But I remember years into it being 8, 9 years old and always wanting to be outside and always wanting to be roughhousing and doing other things that the other kids were doing. And I remember piano always seemed like a chore
Mm.
to me. It always seemed like a something I didn't want to practice. I
Right.
didn't want to put the practice in. I wanted to learn it just in time to go to my piano lessons and play it out and try to pass, you know?
Right.
So um looking back at that now, man, am I grateful for number one, my parents seeing the talent in me and spending their time and their money to put me through the lessons for so many years. And because now it's something that I wouldn't trade at all in the world. And then back then, I would have never thought I would have been so grateful for it.
Right.
I never thought I would achieve the level that I have achieved today, especially with just being able to create music and produce music now, and all that stuff was just a small step toward all these larger things that are going on now.
And that's a great point. You know, it is. We talk about everything being a process. You know, Chad and I talked about that yesterday. That everything in life is a process, and it is those small steps that lead you into something. And often we don't see the end result until we get there. And you know, we talk about having that faith to know that the rest of the staircase is there, even though you can only see the step in front of you.
Yeah,
And I do want to say that this is why, as you guys will hear this later on, this is why it's so important that we foster our children's interest. And this is why it's so important that we figure out what they like and we help them find avenues in order to explore those things that they're interested in. Because now you've got a young man here who produces music. I think I saw you playing at a wedding just recently. You know, I mean,
yeah,
the possibilities are endless, and with technology now and all the different platforms that are available, you know, you don't have to just be a rock star, so to speak. You know, you don't have
right.
to.
No, it's a trade. It's
Yeah.
definitely a trade that you can use your whole life. And it's not necessarily something that I mean, as long as as long as you love what you're doing, and as long as that brings you fulfillment, there's no kind of money or offer in the world or record deal in the world that's going to be able to fulfill that hole.
Right.
So that being said, there's so many, like you said, there's so many other things that can come out of it. It's something that you'll have for the rest of your life. Like you said, I can play a wedding. I can go play at a coffee shop. I can if I need gas money, I can go out and grab my guitar and sit on the side of the street for an hour and have gas money. It's they also not only did they give me a talent, they gave me a source of income.
Right. Right. And I think that's something, you know, we talk about from my perspective. As much as I love playing music, you know, I like to be in the studio. That's kind of my thing. I'm not really a performer, but where I feel like I do shine in the creative field is with writing. And we talk to our children, and I talk to my students a lot about the concept that, you know, there is opportunity if you want to pursue a creative field. You know, we don't encourage our children, especially in our Western culture way of education, to pursue creative ideas and creative avenues. You know, it's doctor, lawyer, it's practical job skills, and though we need those, you know, there I make a good living writing and being a creative writing instructor. You make a good living, like you said, playing music and you know, bringing people joy through music. So I want to take a moment and encourage everybody who will watch this and encourage the children that there is a livelihood in the creative arts. There is a career path in the creative arts. It doesn't have to be a traditional one. You know, go out and branch out and create your own lane.
Yeah, and just to add to that, it's also an outlet for all different types of issues that um, the young generation's going through, the young adults. Even, I mean, like I said, from you don't even realize that you have this outlet until later on. If you've stuck with it so long, you've put in the practice, you've put in the work, and now you have something that's an outlet to you. You have something that you can express yourself with. You have something that you can express untangible things tangibly
Right, right. And again,
with your ears.
it creates an emotional response, right? And,
Yeah,
and you, in that emotional response, you have an attachment to that emotion, which gives you an attachment to the source of that emotion, right? I mean, that's the music, and it's the journey, it's the lyrics, it's the way it makes you feel. And we don't put enough emphasis on how you, like you said, that creative outlet and that positive outlet and that constructive outlet. So you're not out here doing things that you shouldn't be doing, or having emotional outbursts in a negative sense. You know, you can turn to that music, you can turn to that writing, you can turn to the canvas and paint. You know, you can turn
exactly.
to that sculpture, and you can work on it, and it's a way to express yourself positively, safely, and creatively.
Yeah, you can relieve your aggression, relieve your depression. You can encourage yourself through it. I mean, there's so many things that you can benefit from
So
being able to express yourself like that.
how did you transition, speaking of the expression and the growth as a musician, how did you transition into being able to play the guitar and the bass, and I know I've seen you play the trumpet before. I know you and I both like to learn how to play instruments, but I mean, what was the initial catalyst that said, man, you know what, I can play the piano, I want to play this instrument and that instrument?
Uh, well, when I was 13 years old, um, my brother's best friend, Jason Owens, who is he was part of a band called Shades of Grey back in the day. He used to work for my dad and so forth, and hang out with my brother, and he was a guitarist. And I wanted to be able to have some other kind of instrument that I could play. I was almost burnt out on piano at this point. And keep in mind, I'm 13. I'm in middle school, going to high school. I'm already in the band. I've learned this trumpet. I'm starting to learn this trumpet thing, and there was just something else that drawed me to guitar. And somebody told me once that piano was a basis for many instruments, and especially string instruments. So guitar was really easy to pick up with. My parents bought me one when I was 13 for Christmas, and immediately I started trying to learn chords. Every time my brother's friend would come over, I would teach me
Right.
something. He would play, and it's just striving to have being able to play something different. And I put it down for a long time. I learned a few chords. I don't think my hands were fully developed to play guitar at that time. I had shorter
Yeah,
fingers,
yeah,
if that
yeah,
makes
no,
sense.
that makes a big deal, a big difference.
I had small hands, and so when I was 19 years old, I'm out of school. I was already working. I had already quit taking piano lessons. I did still play piano every now and then. I was not necessarily cultivating my talent during these years. Had a lot going on. I was, teenager stuff,
Yeah, yeah.
adolescent stuff. So, but I came back from California. I was living in California. I came back from California when I was 19 years old. And I remember thinking to myself, I was playing piano, and I remember I'm going to pick up the guitar again. I ended up finding a 12-string guitar at the Salvation Army, I think for like $15.
Nice. That's a
And
win.
it was, that guitar lasted for like 2 or 3 years, really. And it was just me wanting to get out, number one, things that God had put on my heart, things I had been through, and wanting to write music, wanting to be able to sing to music. I wasn't necessarily very good at singing and playing piano at the same time. And so I started picking up singing, picking up the guitar, coming up with chord progressions myself, hearing things out, writing, trying to put songs together, letting my friends hear these songs, seeing what they thought about it. I think that was the start of me trying to write music and really create music, and wanting something to come out of that, wanting to have something I could share with other people, have something I could reach other people with, or have something I could reach somebody who was going through the same thing with me as I was, and just hoping that I could affect somebody in some way positively.
That's amazing to have that drive, and to have that level of self-realization that that's what you wanted to do, but not only that, but to take action to pursue it. And I'm proud of you, even though I didn't know you then, to know you now and know that's how that happened. That still definitely gives me a level of pride as your brother and as your friend, because you took it upon yourself to get better. And I think that's a huge thing that we have to continue to do as individuals, is always be analyzing ourselves to say, where can I get better with whatever it is that I'm trying to do. And it's funny. I was thinking, listen, you talking about, the transition from piano to the guitar, because I play the guitar, the bass, and the cello. I can't play the piano at all. You know what I mean? Like,
you started out on strings.
Yeah, I can't. Like, I keep trying to do it, and I'm like, no, I got nothing. It's just unique how people's minds work, man. And that's the beautiful thing about music. That's the beautiful thing about life, is that we are individuals, and our minds work differently, and the way that we see music. Yeah, I always talk about BJ, and I add you to the equation. People talk about the way that he and I make music together, and I was like, it was just one of those things where God just put two people who vibrate at a frequency where the way we hear music together just works. And it's the same thing with you. People ask, like, when we play together, it's just the way you and I connect as musicians. And of course, you and I have been through a lot of things together, that deepens that relationship, and it deepens the emotional response to music. But as musicians, just like the connection that we have, man,
it brings the connection as musicians together. It makes that so much. It makes the sound so much stronger. Yeah. Makes the sound so much more soulful and meaningful.
And it's unique because we all hear music differently, and we all play music differently, and all those things are a factor into that final moment when people hear us play together, and they're awe inspired, or they're overcoming something. And it's just the way that God had put everybody together. And I think that it always is worth repeating, because we're all different, and we all have different talents and different skills. And you can see, I think music is a perfect example of watching individuals come together for a greater purpose. It's always wonderful to watch bands play. I know I went to Asheville once, and this place called Tress's Downtown Jazz and Blues. They had a house band playing, and the house band was phenomenal, right? Sitting there, and I'm enjoying the night, and I'm seeing the rest of the establishment fill up. Well, all of a sudden, somebody stands up and walks on stage, and they just start playing. And then somebody else gets up and walks up with an instrument, and they just start playing. And I was like, what is this? Yeah. What is this magic that's happening right now?
It's like the domino effect.
It was such a cool moment, because everybody was different. They looked different. They played different instruments, but because of that connection, they were all able to literally just walk in the door, walk up on stage, and keep jamming.
Yep.
It's just, man. It's
that's
always, it's a unique experience, and I know we're talking about music, guys, because that's what this series is about, but we also want to remind you guys that everything that music has ever taught us is applicable to life.
Exactly. And that's a point I was going to hit on as well. Everything that you can apply to music, and it's going to apply to your life in some way or fashion. I know I've experienced this a lot of times, and people, they hear somebody play music, they hear somebody that they hear a talent, somebody that can play the piano, guitar, whatever it may be, and they think, here I am, a grown adult, and I just wish I could play something. I wish I could do that. I wish I could have that type of talent. And it's not a thing. It's like, well, I don't have some thing that's not obtainable. Do you
Right.
understand? It's what do you have? What talent do you have? What are you good at? What do you love? What gives you joy? What talent do you have that you can share with people? It may not be music. It
Right.
may not be, song. It may be art. It may be painting. It may be anything. There's so many things that if you it's the same thing. It's cultivating a talent that gives you fulfillment and being able to share that with others and being able to help others with that.
Yeah, that's exactly it, man. And well said, because that's what it comes down to is, we talk about faith and we talk about how, when you use your faith is strengthened. And then as you go through situations, as I was talking about in my video yesterday, when you recycle that situation and it becomes something that's easier for you to overcome, you are then able to give people, my buddy Chesco said this, the blueprint to help others overcome. And music serves that same thing. Like you said, if you have a talent, it may not be music, but everyone has something. People are like, oh, I'm not talented at anything. That's false.
Yeah, that's not true. 100%.
Everyone is good at something. It's just that we always compare what we're good at with what someone else is good at, or lack thereof.
That's it.
And you
Comparison.
have to look inside, like you said, look inside yourself and stop trying to. And I think the orders of magnitude is part of what does a detriment to creative people, because it's when you love music, but you are unable to play music, you're so stuck in being unable to play music that you're missing what you are good at in order to cultivate it and use it to share with the world.
Mm-hmm.
It's a situation where at some point you have to say, okay, either I'm going to commit to such a degree that I'm going to become good at this thing that I love, or I'm going to allow the person that is naturally talented, gifted, and cultivating that talent to share that talent while I go out and find that fulfillment for me that I can share with the world.
Mm-hmm. So I met a guy a couple years ago through a program. I can't remember his name right now, but I met a guy, and he'll tell you himself he couldn't carry a tune in a bucket, or he couldn't sing, but what this guy did know how to do was tinker with cars. Whether that was changing somebody's oil, anything to the smallest of car problems. But he took that and he even made he made it a ministry for himself. He he knew people's how it felt to have your car go down on you, to have to do this and not have the ability to do that for yourself. Because I'm gonna tell you, I don't know anything about cars.
Right.
I don't know. I can play Beethoven to the nines, but I don't know anything about cars. So just being able, he's basically fulfilling another need, because I mean that fulfills somebody, that makes somebody happy. When you get your car fixed, it makes you happy.
Yeah.
And that brought him joy, and it was something that he could do with, whether he's a mechanic or you're a awesome, great, unbelievably talented musician. There's no standard. It's what meets up here is how you're using what you can do.
Man, couldn't be better said, man. And That's one thing. We've always had great conversation, and I'm so thankful for you to come on and spend some time with me. I know the sun's setting behind you,
Yeah,
and
thanks for having me, man.
man, it's been a joy and a pleasure, and we're definitely going to do this again, guys. Listen, it doesn't matter what your talent is, but it does matter what you do with it, and it does matter that you cultivate that talent when you figure out what it is and that passion, when you figure out what it is, so that not only it brings you joy, but it will bring joy to other people. And that is the fundamental truth of the creative mind, and using creativity is not only to bring yourself fulfillment, but to bring it to other people as well. Why? Because we were charged to first serve others. And so when you can bring someone else joy, you are doing a good service. So Ricky, man, thank you,
Thanks
for
again,
being
man.
here. It has been an absolute pleasure, man. Keep playing, and when I come in, we're going to have a jam session.
Oh
It's
yeah.
going down. You know, we're
Oh
going to
yeah.
make a special day for that.
I
Uh,
already know.
is there anything you want to tell anybody before you get off? Anything you got? Any big projects? Any other planning engagements? Anything going on?
No, man. Just everybody keep tuning into the podcast. Langley, thank you for you encourage me every day. Thank you for your videos, man. Just thank you for putting in the time. I try to watch your videos daily, man. There's always something I can gain from it. Just on my ride to work, just whenever it may be. I love hearing it. I love hearing a ring messenger from Langley because I know there's some encouragement behind it.
No, I appreciate it, man. We're just taking talent, cultivating, and giving it back. You know, that's something else we're doing. So, guys, as always, make sure you like, share, subscribe. Check us out on YouTube at The Casual Word. I'm on all social media. If you need prayer, if you need help, if you need anything, hit me up on thecasualword@gmail.com. Don't forget to get your copy of 60 Days of Casual Word. Speaking of which, real quick, that was this man's idea. He messaged me one day and was like, I'm gonna need that 60 Days of Casual Word out of the blue. And I was like, done. And the rest is
I
history. So
remember.
I do want to thank you for that, because you were the motivation behind creating that devotional. So
Yeah, man.
everybody knows this is the man to thank for that devotional being in existence. You know, I know he
No,
was being obedient, and I was being obedient by taking that and going with
exactly. You put
whatever.
it in motion, man. You put it in motion and you got it out there. You did it and you completed a task.
So, but thank you for dropping that nugget on me, so I could have something else to give back with. So, guys, this has been a great episode. Again, Ricky, thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time out of your day.
Thanks, Langley.
For everybody. Hope everybody learned something from this, and I hope you guys take away that we are all here to help one another, here to serve, and here to encourage, give back, and fulfill the calling of being servant leaders through enhancing other people's lives with our gifts and our talents. So that's all for this evening, guys. Thank you again for watching. And as always, let's change the way that we think so we can change the way that we live. And until next time, stay blessed.